The next generation of Xbox is going to be far different than what we have seen in previous generations. I mean, we're already getting a taste of it based off of how Xbox is rolling out their strategy with this is an Xbox and play everywhere and putting games on PlayStation and everything. And we have more information about the future of the consoles because there will be another console as well as the next game that potentially is going to be ported to the PlayStation 5. And then just some thoughts from The Verge and Tom Warren in his Notepad article about Xbox, the future, some of the things that could be included into the next Xbox. Lots of things we've already talked about here, but there is some interesting stuff there. So we'll go over all of that. If it is your first time here, hit the subscribe button if you like daily gaming and news content and just these types of discussions and the future of Xbox specifically, as I do enjoy just talking and speculating as to what can happen with the future of gaming. So we know Xbox is putting games on PlayStation 5. Forza Horizon 5, I think, is that tentpole game that signals that there will be a lot more coming along the way, more so than just the 4 that they announced back during the business update of 2024. And Windows Central and Jez Corden has some updates here. First of all, in terms of the console, this one's actually very exciting. I think we're going to be talking a lot more about this over this year, especially next year. The reality is we are at the tail end here of this generation. We are on the second half of it. And when that generally occurs, when we pass that middle point, we start seeing more information about what is coming next. There's always discussions right now with Xbox specifically, even though they've told us multiple times, whether there will be another actual at-home console from the manufacturer themselves, and there will be, and it will be, I think, very powerful. I think it will be something that will be for enthusiasts, because I think there will be multiple different iterations of the Xbox console, potentially from other manufacturers or just different SKUs, especially when you have something like a handheld that is more than likely going to be coming out as well. But we have this here from Windows Central and Jez Corden saying, to that end, I've recently been told that Xbox's next-gen console hardware has now moved past its early pitch stages and has been fully approved and costed all the way up the chain. So it's been approved. They're in the next stage. It's been costed. They are going to build this thing and they are going to try and sell it, contrary to what a lot of people want to believe. And I mean, there are good reasons to believe that this wouldn't be happening. Simply because if you take a look at the Xbox sales, they are falling. I mean, down 29% in their last report is not a very strong number. And you compare that to the specific console sales of PlayStation with the PS5, pretty much on par with the PlayStation 4 sales, meaning that thing is going to sell over 100 million units by the end of this generation. There's a good reason to ask the question. And consoles isn't the main thing that Xbox cares about with their entire strategy. But the thing people, I feel like, just forget or don't touch on when they make these statements about them just killing off the console at this point is that 30 million units, 50 million units, let's say it hits about 50 million or 40, 45 million by the end of this generation. That is still a lot of people that they would just be leaving out in the cold for an access point into the Xbox ecosystem that is going to allow you to play your games on every platform. We just saw it with Avowed, and the fact that you can actually buy Avowed on Steam and still bring your saves from the Xbox version to the Steam version. So that is the future, cutting off like 40, 50 million people as an entry point into just getting into that ecosystem does not make business sense whatsoever. I think if it was very low, like if they were, like, I don't know what the number would be, but it would have to be relatively low, then maybe you consider it. But as of right now with the Xbox consoles, even if it is half of what PlayStation sells, it is still a large amount of people that will sign up to Game Pass, as it is a Game Pass box, and just get entry into the Xbox ecosystem. So the numbers right now, I think, are sufficient enough to go ahead and build a console. And as Jez mentions here, they're all the way up the chain, been costed. I wonder what this is going to be. We've heard many things about the next generation of Xbox. The thing that just resonates, I think, with a lot of people was Sarah Bond at the business meeting last year when she said this is going to be the biggest technical leap in Xbox history. And the other thing that recently just occurred, Phil Spencer, he did talk about making the hardware something that differentiates itself, and that's what sells it. It's not the exclusives, it's not the games that are locked to the platform, but it's the features within the hardware that sells the console itself. In fact, he specifically says this in a recent interview, says he wants to innovate and make hardware the differentiator, and that Microsoft is thinking about creating hardware that sells to gamers because of the unique aspects of the hardware. It's kind of an unleashing of the creative capability of our hardware team that I'm really excited about. And to me, that sounds all well and good. And I hope that with this next Xbox, they do put in a bunch of stuff in there and continue to improve upon it. They put more things like Quick Resume, which is, in my opinion, the best feature on a console maybe that we've ever gotten, because it really does change the way that you play games and it really does improve your overall experience. But they have to sell that, because they have not sold those features for the Xbox Series X and S at all. It's like a lot of people don't even know what Quick Resume is. They still think that the PlayStation 5 has a feature that is Quick Resume, the switcher feature, which is not even close. Quick Resume is way ahead of PlayStation. They just don't sell it. And if they put in a bunch of great features, like they have great backwards compatibility, the auto HDR, the FPS boost, all that stuff, they don't tell anybody about it. To me, it just becomes useless for their business side of things. For people like me who are getting the Xbox, we get to enjoy those things, but a lot of people don't even know what they're missing out on. Now, the other thing that is pretty interesting is what's going to be the handheld thing. I mean, the handheld is something that we are going to be getting from Xbox. You can pretty much bet on it. We do have this here. This is a recent interview with Phil Spencer saying, I love when I see handhelds, when I see unique things that hardware manufacturers do, and I want our hardware to compete on power and innovation. He doesn't really go on to specify exactly what will make the next-gen hardware different from the rivals, but a handheld would be one of those things. Jason Ronald also touched on this at the CES, where they were at that handheld convention, and he talked about he wanted to bring the best of Xbox and Windows together. And in fact, it says here that Microsoft has been trying to bridge the Xbox and PC game development gap for years using its Game Core developer-focused platform, which they made changes to it to make it easier for game creators to build titles for both Xbox and PC. And to me, this is going to be the key thing, and we're seeing it play out in real time here. They just want games basically developed for one platform. They don't want to have the console version. They don't want to have the PC version. They want one game that runs on everything, which I guess it is pretty much what it is now. It just gets optimized differently because Xbox and PlayStation are PCs under the hood pretty much. I mean, they have AMD, they have x86 architecture, all that stuff. But they want to have one version probably that just gets released into the Xbox store and then gets played across every single device that has the Xbox store on there, merging Xbox and PC, and potentially who knows what the future would mean in terms of other apps that get on the Xbox console, because Phil Spencer last year did say to Polygon that they were looking at opening up the platform to rival stores like itch.io and the Epic Game Store, which would mean logically, if they're going to open it up to those stores, you would think they would open it up to the biggest of all, which would be an absolute game changer in the console space, having Steam on there. And if you connect the dots, you think a little bit about it, there's got to be a reason, on top of just being consumer friendly, that they're allowing you to bring your saves over to Steam versions of their games. Maybe it's because with the next Xbox, you're going to be able to choose right on your console. Are you purchasing it on Steam or are you purchasing it on the Xbox store? Either way, Xbox is making money off of that purchase because they are first-party games and they don't want to hinder you with save issues. So maybe that is the reason why this is happening. On top of it also, I think, being a very consumer-friendly move. Now, there's other stuff here that they would need to add for the next generation of Xbox, because you have to think everything was backwards compatible with the Series X. Everything has to be backwards compatible with the next generation consoles. So Series X and before that has to all work on the next gen Xbox, probably accessories as well from the Xbox One up. You have to think about the emulators and stuff that they would be putting on there. 360 has an emulator on there. The Xbox One games clearly will work because they work on the Series X, and the Series X will have no issues as well, because this will just basically be playing the same games upgraded and stuff like that. And then AI will also be a major role on the next gen consoles. PSSR right now for consoles is, I guess, the leading one right now because PS5 Pro was first out there with their own proprietary upresing super resolution technology. Xbox will absolutely have that as well. In fact, it says here that Microsoft already has its own automatic super resolution feature that uses the NPUs on Qualcomm Copilot Plus PCs to enhance game visuals and improve frame rates. And Tom Warren here says, I suspect we'll see something similar on the Xbox side, particularly because the DirectX team is driving this work at the core of Windows, and it will greatly benefit any Xbox handheld when it comes to battery life and performance. And for me, that is one of the biggest things that has to happen with the handhelds that are going to be coming up. It is battery life. And having that balance of performance to battery life. I don't think pretty much anybody is expecting to get the best visuals on a handheld, even on the current PC handhelds, or have the best performance. The key is balance, not 1 hour of battery life for 1 hour and a half. If they can move that battery life up, get it closer to like 4 hours, and then just have okay performance, have a middle of the road performance, I think that would just be the sweet spot. And if they can move towards that with things like AI and super resolution, that is my hope here for the future of these handhelds that will be coming out. So the next Xbox is going to be very different in terms of how everything is going to be ran. And we're already seeing them lead up to that point. But in my opinion, it is very exciting. It is very consumer friendly what Xbox is trying to do here. And I can't wait to see what they roll out from their own platform, from their own console. How much more powerful will this be? Will it really be the biggest next generational leap in performance that Sarabon didn't mention last year? So that's pretty cool. The other thing here as well that also pushes home the point of this whole ecosystem thing and their strategy is that Hellblade 2, we talked about this. It looks like it probably is going to be coming to PlayStation 5 as soon as April, as Jez Corden also has said this. His whole article was basically that Xbox is going to have more games on PS5 than PlayStation actually puts out. And he says, recently, I've been hearing from trusted sources that Hellblade 2 could be launching on PlayStation 5 as soon as this April. So we will see if that happens. Lots of interesting stuff there. I would love to know all your thoughts on the future of Xbox, the consoles, and what you think about where they are going. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.